And as time flies by, you'll open up your eyes wide. You feel it's gonna go your way. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. Hey, 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 it's a brand.
Welcome back to Marbella Now. My name is Nicole King and I'm delighted to be recording the show once again from the exhibition centre here in the heart of the city. The RTV Marbella studios are being revamped and I'm looking forward to going back there very soon. But in the meanwhile, I have to say, it's very nice here. It's a great space for our local community as a hub. There are loads of different spaces, including a huge auditorium. So for major concerts and conferences, you can do anything here. Do pop in and chat with the people and find out more. I'm looking forward to meeting my guest. His name is Sean Woolley and he's come to us via the wonderful Georgina Shaw of Shaw Marketing Services. She sent me an email. This guy's going to be interesting. He's got a lot of information that's very pertinent right now with everything going on with Brexit, COVID and what have you. Sean, welcome to Marbella Now.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's nice to meet you because I've seen your real estate brand name several times. Cloud9, what a great name. Because right here in Marbella, we are on Cloud9.
Exactly. Now, British people understand it because it's a well-known phrase, but when you come across a German or a French person, they're like, what does it mean? So you have to kind of explain, but obviously it means that you're happy and elated. That's the general sort of feeling we wanted to create, really.
Are you a generally happy person? Is that your nature? Are you a jovial sort of person?
Oh, I don't know about that. I wouldn't go that far. It's been a tough year, hasn't it? So some days are better than others at the moment. But yeah, we've been around a long time. We've been going for nearly 20 years. I came over here with the foolish intention of semi-retiring, but I didn't have enough money and I had far too much time on my hands. So ended up falling into real estate, really, because my background is legal. I'm a lawyer by background. And we set up the business, and it's flourished ever since, really.
So you're from the UK?
I'm from the UK. Yeah.
Whereabouts?
I'm from the Wirral.
From where?
From the Wirral.
The Wirral.
Merseyside, so between Chester and Liverpool.
Okay, I mean, just like the Wirral. But you have funny accents up there. I mean,
it's been beaten out of me over the years, I think.
Yeah, you certainly don't have a Manchurian accent coming out now.
Good. That's a good thing. Yeah.
But it's actually, I love languages and I love accents. And in fact, I find it very difficult not to imitate people's accents, like butter, and when you're talking to people and you just pick it up,
I know, No, you do, particularly Australians. For some reason, if I'm with an Australian friend for a while, all of a sudden it's, all the Aussie stuff comes out. So yeah, I'm the same as you, Nicole.
So when you came to Spain, it was like you had been working in the legal profession, stressed, cold,
absolutely.
grey.
Yeah, my partner, he's a teacher by trade, so he was kind of working his way up in the schools and doing very well. But we had a lovely house. We were in Yorkshire where we'd settled, and we had the lovely stone house, the 2 flash cars on the driveway, but hardly ever saw each other. Bottle of wine every night, wake up, go to work, and there was no way, or I didn't feel there was any way of kind of stepping off the ladder. I think in England you're sort of frowned upon when you do that. So we just decided it was the right time for both of us. So we were very fortunate. One of us wasn't sort of pining to stay. So we decided to both up sticks, and we, at the time, it was like, oh God, but looking back now, it's, it was a brave decision. We sold our house, we moved lock, stock and barrel, came to Spain.
And Marbella was your original choice from holidays previously. Why Marbella? I mean,
do you know what?
It is Cloud9, but why Marbella?
Yeah, it was my sister. She bought a place here, and we kind of piggybacked on her idea, but it just suited us because we didn't speak Spanish. We wanted somewhere warmer with a nice climate and an easier, more relaxed way of life. So southern Spain, and particularly Marbella, kind of ticked a lot of boxes for us. And as you all know, I think you've been here a while, and Marbella was a different place. We still had Puerto Banús, and we still had the names and the glamour, but I think it's grown up over the last 20 years. We have shops opening on Sundays now and all sorts of things.
It's far more family oriented than it used to be. It used to be very much a party place, very wild, but now there's a lot more families. There's a lot more year residents, all year round residents.
And I think also the nationality mix has changed. It used to be very British and Irish, and now it's a real hodgepodge, isn't it? It's like the United Nations. There's people from all the continents, and I think it makes it a really cosmopolitan atmosphere. Great place to bring up family, great place to socialise, because you're dealing with people from all over the world, you know. And I think sometimes when I go back to the UK, I feel that it's become a little bit narrow-minded. And I know we're going to come on to maybe talk about Brexit and stuff later, but I don't know. I think when you've lived in Marbella a while, you feel that you're a European rather than a Brit. That's how I feel anyway.
Yeah, it's you've been here 20 years. I have to ask, do you speak Spanish?
Well, do you know what? I speak, I'm a typical Brit. You know, I'm a little bit lazy when it comes to languages. And, you know, I think we're always a little bit nervous, aren't we? When we go into a shop and we try out a few phrases and then someone comes back to us in English and you're like, oh, okay. So I do speak, probably I'm better than I let on. But I always try and keep things updated. I'm on an app at the moment just to try and improve a few of my verbs and stuff.
But I think actually it's funny you mentioned that. A lot of the Spanish people, when we say something in Spanish, we fear that we didn't say it right because they responded in English. Whereas 99% of the time, they're just delighted to practice their English. Yeah. So we take it, I think, a little bit too personally.
Yeah,
we're too shy.
We are, and we don't like being corrected.
We don't like being wrong.
Yeah, exactly. But you're right, we are shy, and we should give it a go, and we should make mistakes, because you're right, the Spanish will lap it up, and they'll correct us, and they'll help us, and they'll talk back and do it slowly, but we don't give it enough of a chance, I think.
We were talking with Bill Anderson earlier on during the week, and he's a councillor in the opposition right now in Mijas, but we were talking about the difference of people who come to live in Spain and people who come to live in the sun. And I always very much think when I started Mi Marbella Radio, and the reason behind my TV program was to try and get the foreigners to empathise with, okay, but you know, it's like Spain's this fresh water, and then we come here and put our suntan on, and we're just atosigando, suffocating with our oil, our suntan oil, the good Spanishness, by not mixing, because oil and water don't mix, and we need to mix more.
I know, we do, and I think it's getting better, because I think, as I say, I think the sort of multicultural element of Marbella, and the fact that you can have friends from lots of different nationalities, maybe not as many Spanish friends as I would like, but
you have to speak Spanish to get Spanish friends,
I know, that's the problem, isn't it? Yeah.
You know what I mean, like.
But I think, you know, just in terms of that mix, I think it's nice, and it's, you know, it just gives you a broader sense of what's happening in the world, I think.
Do you eat in Spanish places and Spanish food, or do you very much keep to that international restaurants and butcher, baker, candlestick maker, all very familiar, because that's what we have now, I think, since '96, when that real influx of Brits and different nationalities came in. We came in with all our services.
Oh, we did, yeah, absolutely. We kind of took over, didn't we? I mean, there's so much choice, isn't there? And you know, I think we're all creatures of habit, so I tend to go back to the same places. What I find with the Spanish restaurants, yes, I would love to try more of them, but I always find they don't make it particularly welcoming, because the lighting isn't quite right, is it? It's always bright lights and noisy, and unless you're ready for that. And I like quite moody places and dark, you know, where you have to kind of examine what you're eating because you're not quite sure. Whereas in a lot of the little Spanish rentas and really great places, great value, you go in there and it's just bright lights, big city, and if you're not kind of ready for that,
I think it's kind of funny when you mentioned about noisy, because I have to say I feel quite Spanish when it comes to that. Very vociferous and all the hands playing, and everyone's always talking over each other, so it can be a bit intimidating if you don't speak the language and you're not used to the culture.
Yeah, because it's just noise.
And it sounds like they're shouting at each other often, but they're not. It's just the passion.
Absolutely.
The passionate people.
Yeah, and then the volume just starts going up, and good heavens, yeah. And if you're not understanding it, it's just, it can be quite distracting.
I think that's one of the reasons I like being in Spain, the noise, the bulla, mucha bulla.
Exactly.
A lot of things going on. Yeah. So you fell into property, into real estate. Obviously having that legal background must be a big help when it comes to real estate, because there's a lot of processes and a lot can go wrong.
There are, and you know what? It's normally the lawyers who mess things up, because the clients are normally lovely. That client wants to buy that, and that client wants to sell that. And it's a question of meeting in the middle in terms of negotiation. And it's a question of sorting out the deal so that it happens easily and the paperwork is all in order. And you know what? it's the lawyers who very often mess things up because they want to do things in a certain way, or they spook a client by saying something that isn't necessary, and all of a sudden you've got no deal. And actually the clients, they're the ones that suffer. So yes, there's a process to it. We've heard all the kind of horror stories in the past about people trying to do it themselves and buy somewhere, and then 10 years later they find out it's illegal. My advice, I'm a lawyer by training. If I buy somewhere in London, I'll use a lawyer in London. Do you know what I mean? So we always say, look, use a lawyer. Doesn't have to be one that we recommend, but somebody ideally who understands the local market as well. So don't use a lawyer in Barcelona or in Madrid. Use somebody here who understands the particular kind of vagaries of the law here, and also knows which notary to go to and all those sorts.
Far too often people call me and they say that their insurance company hasn't covered their house claim, their car claim, but they're insuring with companies in England. And yet when you're in Spain, if your car breaks down, you're going to need a Spanish tow truck, and you're going to need the Spanish mechanic. You want the people in Spain with those contacts.
Absolutely.
You don't want someone who's trying to find a third party to cover them. It's like you're just removing yourself further and further from the issue and being in control.
I think it's a comfort factor, isn't it? You want to deal with people that you think and obviously there's a comfort factor in dealing with people in your home country. But as you said quite rightly, when it comes to owning and managing a property in Spain, I think it's all about getting your networks in place. That's what I did when I first bought my first property here. I made sure I had a plumber, an electrician, a kind of suite of people who could help me in different times. And you pick up a lot of referrals, don't you, from friends that you make, real estate agents, lawyers. They'll help you. If you need an insurance broker, they'll find you one. And it's a much better way of doing things.
Without a doubt. When I first moved back down here from Madrid in 2012, and friends said that they would help us get the installation done for the electricity and reconnected, and it was great. And when we got here, it was done by an English electrician who'd copied the house opposite, but both were out of date. And you don't know unless you know. And these are the mistakes that I say, even I coming down and saying to my friend, yes, I'd forgotten how Marbella can be. You forget. So it's so important to have professionals, go through recommendations, do your due diligence, search on Google. I did my column this week in the Euro Weekly of the Spanish denuncia. Because if you're going to do something, first thing, go online. Do they have any court cases pending? Who's complaining? It's like more than just their own website kind of thing.
Absolutely. No, there's ways that you can help yourself here, and it is about immersing yourself to a degree in the country in which you've invested.
What do you specialise in your real estate? Do you cover everything, sales, rentals, long-term, short-term?
We don't do rentals. The reason being that it's very labour intensive. And the way that our business is structured, particularly now with the COVID crisis, is that we're quite a lean, mean fighting machine, and we concentrate on sales. When we started, our average sales value was around 200,000 euros. And now it's around 700 to a million. So it's taken us 20 years to get to that level.
Well done then.
Yes, and of course we still focus on sales transactions at all levels, but I think what's happened in the last 12 months is that the people at a higher level are in an easier position to perhaps invest. They can get here maybe a little bit easier. They haven't got to report to work on a Monday morning. They're maybe spending a smaller percentage of their overall wealth, even though it's a higher amount. So those are the clients that we've been attracting over the last 12 months.
It's interesting because I think a lot of us have anticipated a drop in prices in property, but I think in some cases they've even gone up. Possibly because, again, like in the last crisis, there are those in a financial position to actually take advantage of the situation.
Definitely. And because a lot of people already know the area, they've been here for years, they've maybe stayed at friends, or they have friends who've bought here, they kind of already know it. So it's not us having to sell the area to them. They know, sometimes they come to us, they know the development they want to be in, they know the road. It's a question of them finding the right property. I think those people are sick of waiting. They have the money to invest. They want, when we're all allowed to enjoy our lives again, they want to enjoy themselves. They maybe want to work from this place that they're buying in Spain because, home working is becoming
That definitely seems to be a big trend now. And Marbella is a great place. If you have to be a teleworker, what better place than when you finish your day at home, in the beautiful homes we have here, or the facilities and amenities that we have.
Exactly. I mean, you know, sort of 10, 15, 20 years ago, it was difficult to get high-speed internet here. Now, I think our internet capacity here is even better than back in the UK, for instance. So the way I always say it to clients is that here in Marbella, I feel 10 years younger than I am. Back home in the UK, in the UK, I feel 10 years older than I am. So if you get an opportunity to work and live here, take it.
Wow. Words of wisdom, undoubtedly. I'm chatting with Sean Woolley, he's from Cloud9 Real Estate. Introduction from Georgina of Short Marketing Services. We're going now just to some messages from our wonderful sponsor, Linea Director, those big companies that actually have a human interest in what's going on. It's lovely to see that there are really people behind the scenes, and that really what makes a difference. Plus our ZeroHero partners offering free soft drinks to designated drivers. Don't go away. We'll be back with Sean in just a moment because he's going to chat with us about those changes that are going to happen, well, are happening now because of Brexit. When you want to come and live here now, it's not quite as easy, but where there's a will, there is a way. Don't go away.
Sometimes it's nice to just get lost in the moment without a care in the world.
However, if something does come up and you find you're actually lost, it's also nice to know that you can call Linea Director to come and find you. Call Linea Director on 952 14 78 34 to see how they can better your life too.
When I'm the designated driver, I think it's only fair that I get to choose a ZeroHero venue that rewards me with free soft drinks. My friends all get to choose and booze, and they feel safe going home with me. Make sure that you get your reward for being the designated driver. Why pay if you don't have to?
Hi guys, Ross here from Hogan Stand. Proud to be a member of the ZeroHero campaign. And we recommend everybody. Nobody drives drinking. Everybody who drives a car doesn't have any alcohol in their system, and we're proud to sponsor the ZeroHero program.
ZeroHero? How many visitors?
G-Wine is happy to be ZeroHero partner.
How cool is that? G-Wine.
Thank you.
Clara are proud to present ZeroHero. Never drink and drive.
Yes, I mean, do you think that
McNulty's is proud to be a ZeroHero partner?
Out of bounds, ZeroHero partners.
Here we are, sticker going on, delighted to welcome everybody and to be part of the ZeroHero campaign. Delighted.
ZeroHero, welcome here. Ha llegado de Barón.
Welcome to Lemongrass, Doña Lola. Thank you very much.
Welcome back to the programme. My name is Nicole King. If you've just tuned in, I'm chatting with Sean Woolley. He's from Cloud9 Real Estate, an introduction by Georgina of Short Marketing Services. I received an email that obviously interesting to know what's going on in the real estate market right now, but very interesting is a report that Sean has prepared on what it's going to entail as of now to come and move to Spain, now that we are no longer part of the European Economic Community. I have to say personally, through work, I import product from the UK, and the first order since Brexit was returned to origin. I don't have half the paperwork I need, and I can't get it because nothing's open. There is no place to, and I understand it from going into English produce shops that I am not alone because shelves are empty, and I understand that even major companies are going through real big problems. I don't think we took into consideration Sean, the customs aspect, going back to customs clearance, customs agent, and my product now, with the import and everything, is more expensive than the product.
Yeah.
It's like it's not feasible.
No.
You seeing a lot of changes on your side?
Yeah, we have actually. From a personal point of view, we're kind of big online shoppers, and we deal with Spanish companies, we deal with UK companies. There's a UK company that we ordered a couple of t-shirts from, and that got held up in customs, and we got phone calls from one of the big courier companies saying, you know, we've got this thing in customs, blah, 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 blah. Can you please explain what it is, how much it cost? So we had to go through a few hoops, and it's only now, I think yesterday arrived, like 3 weeks after it was due. A pair of jeans that we ordered from somewhere in England, that's gone back, we don't even know where that is. I just wonder how much of this is political, because you know, I didn't expect this. I think when Boris announced that we had this deal with the EU, I thought things like this wouldn't be happening. I thought this was what would happen in the event of a no deal. But it seems that there's a little bit of jiggery-pokery going on, but I'm not sure it's entirely justified. So I just wonder, it's going to sound a bit over-political maybe, but I just wonder how much of this is the EU kind of teaching us a lesson. Teaching us a bit of a lesson, saying, look, you thought it was going to be easy, but here you go, here we're going to cause a few problems. I suspect that these are the teething troubles and problems that both governments were talking about that would happen when the split occurred.
I mean, it makes sense if you think about it. Everything's been easy, we're all part of a community, we're all doing things together, and suddenly you have one member that says no. Yeah. You can't expect everything to carry on, or people not to want to dot every I and cross every T because they can. Yeah. And I think it is a lesson, it's a hard lesson we're learning. I just mentioned to you, I'm glad I'm already here, because just looking at the options now to come, yes, there are options if you have money. And this is something we didn't have to worry about when I came over years ago. Yes, I had to get a work permit back in the 80s. Yeah. But I didn't have to justify, 35, 50 grand? Even if I want to be a non-participant member, just like hang out. I know. Tell us more.
It's frustrating, isn't it? Because I'm like you, I came over here in 2001. I didn't even think about visas and what I might need. And the one thing about Brexit, whether you agree with its merits or not, the one thing that upsets me is that future generations probably won't have the same opportunities that I had, that you had, in being able to move and to further their lives.
Give it a go. Exactly. We came to give it a go. Exactly. Let's see what happens.
We did, and it was exciting, and we've thrown ourselves into a new culture, some more than others. And I think it's just such a shame that you know, my nieces and nephews, for instance, who are in their 20s, won't be able to do that. Or they'll be able to do it, but with great difficulty now. So yeah, that's one thing that really kind of bugs me about this.
Well, I arrived 10 years earlier than you. Yeah. And the Marbella I arrived into to live full time was very, very Spanish. Yeah. So I really didn't have the option you did coming that time later with all the services. It was either you spoke Spanish or you didn't get anything. And I remember the first time someone said, oh, pick up 5 kilos of potatoes. Like, how do you expect me to carry that? You know, I thought, oh, God knows why I was carrying these kilos, and everything was very different than it is now. It's a very international, you don't need to speak Spanish, you can get by.
I feel so lucky, Nicole, living here. I feel truly blessed that I live in a place that's referred to as the California of Europe, that has a wonderful climate, that has so many things going for it. And what I like doing here is I like dipping into the different lifestyles. You can do the typical Spanish thing, you can do the Brits abroad thing if you want, you can do the cosmopolitan, you can do the luxury, glamorous side of things as well. And whenever I go back to the UK, I just think, oh, I just don't feel a part of it anymore. And you know, whether my life is better than someone in the UK, I'm not saying that, but I am saying I feel very blessed and lucky to be here.
To come here now, if you want to just come on holiday, I suppose no change?
Exactly. I think you have to break it into chunks because there's a lot of panic out there. You know, I mean, no one can do anything at the moment anyway with the COVID thing, but for holidaymakers, they're not going to be affected. And, you know, because the rules really are, the first restriction that we're going to come across is the 90 days within 180 days rule. So for holidaymakers, they're not going to be affected. For second homeowners, again, probably not affected because they won't be coming for longer than 90 days in half a year.
So it means you can only stay maximum 3 months and then you must be 3 months out of the country.
Exactly, and that's within the EU. So if you're in France for 30 days and then you come down to Spain, your part in France will also count towards your 90 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So those people are maybe 80-90% of second homeowners in Spain won't be affected. But it's the people who want to spend kind of more than 3-6 months at a time here, and of course the people who want to emigrate here, that are going to have the problems. And then again, with those people, we have to split it into manageable chunks again. For people who want to retire here, who can prove an income, who aren't relying on the Spanish state, again, absolutely fine. They'll be able to...
But there is a minimum of 35 to 50,000 euros in the bank to show you can look after yourself. That's a lot for a pensioner.
It is.
If you don't have savings.
It is. But, you know, if you can prove that you're not reliant on the state system here, that's the key thing. They don't want you dipping into the social security system here. They want you to be self-sufficient, have private health care, a pension or investments that are coming in giving you an income. If you can prove that, then there should be no problem. The second type of people are people who want to set up a business here. Again, you're going to need to prove funds are in place to enable you to start a business here and make a go of it without relying on the Spanish state system. The third people are what we call the golden visa applicants, and those are people who've invested a minimum of 500,000 euros in a property here, and it has to be cash amount, not mortgaged, in property or selection of Spanish shares and bonds, particular types of investments. Now, this may suit particularly not only British people, but also members of other non-EU states where you have a much more advantageous tax jurisdiction back at home, because you only, with the golden visa, you only actually need to be in Spain for 1 day a year. So it gives you the best of both worlds. You can be here for 1 day, you can be here for the whole year, it doesn't matter. But if you don't have to become a Spanish tax resident with that. And that might be very important, particularly for people from the Middle East, who generally have a much looser tax regime. It can give you EU residency, but it means you don't have to give up your fiscal residency of your home country. So there's that option, and that can be backdated to when the golden visa system was introduced. So if you're someone who's now maybe approaching retirement and you've invested 500,000 euros in a Spanish property from 2014, 2015, you can count that. And you can then apply for the golden visa. I think the section of people that are going to be most affected are the young, are the people who want to come to Spain but have to be employed. Because at the moment, and I say at the moment, there is no provision for those people. I think what's going to happen is that once the governments get their heads together, because the Spanish and the British governments are generally, you know, there's so much at stake in terms of tourism, in terms of money, investment. I think there will be some sort of working visa. It might be for a year initially, you might have to be sponsored by a company.
A bit like the States kind of thing.
Exactly, but I don't think it will give you permanent kind of residency rights, but it will be a way to move towards that.
And maybe actually every adversity brings an opportunity, and there is a big problem of not having real contracts for workers, people coming in for the holiday season, they work in jobs, they don't have the contracts, the commitment's not there, and it's hard for them to build up that credit and work history. So maybe in a way, I mean, as I say, I'm glad I'm already here, and I'm saying this because I wouldn't want it to apply to me, but maybe in a way it is a way of things to actually become more official and people to get the right contracts and be covered the right way and things to be more legal and coordinated.
I think so. And I also think, I mean, look, we may end up with a situation where there's actually free movement between the UK and Spain. I mean, look at Norway and Switzerland. They're not members of the EU. Okay, there are other memberships that they have that are more affiliated with the EU, but they can come and go as they please. I think the UK and Spain will work towards something like that. I'm not saying it's going to be completely like that, but I think there will be provisions put in place so that people can come here and not stress.
Fingers crossed.
I'm sure.
Lovely to meet you, Sean. Thank you so much for your time and a really fascinating chat. Really nice if you're looking for property. Cloud 9, if you want to live on Cloud 9, like we do here in Marbella, contact Sean. They'll be delighted to chat with you. And thank you, Georgina, for the introduction. It's been really nice to know the options for moving over here. Still worth coming. Whatever's going on in your life, it's far better when it's in the sun.
It's true.
That's true. That's it for me today. Take care of yourselves. Be nice to each other. We'll be back tomorrow with more. You can watch catch-up shows from the RTV Marbella website, but you can also go to my website, nicoleking.es, for links to Marbella Now, this programme, also to our ZeroHero website for free soft drinks for the designated driver in ZeroHero partner restaurants, bars and hotels when they're open, and a link to my column in the Euro Weekly News, Marbella Moments. Take care of yourselves, be nice to each other. Y hasta mañana.